Food for Thought with Professor David Bitte.
Two thoughts. Let me share the first one so that I don't lose it. Is there a possibility, when we talk about coping mechanisms, that some of these men and women in the police could lean on substance abuse to cope?
Well, yes. So they are exposed one way or other to the availability of these drugs.
Okay.
Just like any other Kenyan. You see that in their case, they have a higher level of stressful conditions and the need to continue because they go by orders.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, move. You have no time to say you cannot move. If you are a civilian, you say, I'm not feeling well now.
Yes.
And that's the end of it.
For them,
that
they
may not be the case.
They may not have that option.
And if they don't have that option, if you are not well, bring a report.
Yeah.
Bring a medical report.
In fact, I was going to go there because
yes.
when we talk about a physical injury,
Yes.
maybe you are out there, something happened,
Yes.
you were attacked, maybe you were shot,
Yes.
there's a physical injury.
Yes.
And so the physical injury, because we can see it, it's easy to get
Yes.
you attended to.
Yes.
But now the things we are talking about are things that are not easily seen.
Yes.
So somebody is going through all these things and yet they're armed
Yes.
and expected to go out there and do their job. I'm
Yes.
just wondering, how does this affect their effectiveness in the workplace, especially when they're out in the field?
Well, I don't know how they work, but I can only speculate.
Yes.
Yeah, because I have no data, and this is something that will require very complicated tests, very complicated research.
Yeah.
It's very easy to go to the police force and give a questionnaire, ask a set of questions, and depending on the answer they respond, they give, you can say this PTSD, this is depression, this is anxiety, this is this kind of diagnosis.
Yeah.
There's also substance abuse. You are abusing alcohol, whatever, using those internationally recognized criteria. There's no problem in doing that kind of research, whether it has been done here in a very systematic manner. Yeah, we are talking about evidence-based epidemiological studies. But you see, it is one thing to say that so many people have this kind of condition.
Yeah.
But that is general statistics. I'm a statistic on my own. And if I am depressed and I continue, I'm depressed because you are using these criteria. But it cannot tell you why you are depressed.
Why you're depressed, yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
It cannot tell you the dynamics that are going on in my life. That will involve something called qualitative research. Where qualitative research, you discuss with people, yes, you are depressed, but why are you depressed? What are the dynamics? And that's what we need to understand. So in the case of the police force, they have wonderful opportunity to do epidemiological studies so that they, and which is representative of the whole country. This is a problem. And then once they know that, they understand the problem, the question is, what do they do? And in general, and what do they do at individual level?
Okay.
I think that is the way it should be going. It's very fertile ground for research, for their own consumption. Yeah, not necessarily for scientific publication,
but
for their own consumption. And I think they should have a very active research unit with the people who can address and find solution to these issues.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We usually see on the news when there's the recruitment drive, for people to get into the police force, and a lot of people show up, and sometimes we even see pictures of people who are shedding tears because they didn't qualify and all that. And I'm just wondering whether they are prepared mentally for what's ahead? What does this job involve? What are the kind of scenarios you will find yourself in?
But how can they prepare them mentally when they don't know what could happen? You can only prepare for something that you think could happen. And therefore, the importance of this knowledge, going down to the grassroots as much as possible.
Yeah.
So that everybody, when they make a decision, they make informed decision. Yeah. I think that's all that I can say. I cannot blame them. And nobody can blame them that they are trying to get into this kind of profession.
Profession, yeah.
And let me say, a very noble profession. Yeah, extremely noble profession. Very important for the society, very important for everybody. But let's be aware, let them know to the extent possible. And even if they go through the first stage, because screening for psychiatric conditions is not as like what is your height? Are you standing straight and things like that? Can you run around and see things around? What is your side things that can?
Yeah.
But a proper psychiatric condition and evaluation. One person will take a minimum of 1 hour. Do they have the time? Yes.
Yeah, do we have the time?
Do they have the time?
Do they
so
have
even
the resources?
if they don't do the screening, and I say even if they do not do the screening, I did not say
they don't.
They don't.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that. So even if they do not do the screening, is it understandable under the circumstances? And at what stage, even after these people have been recruited and going through training, have they exposed to, do they have this mental illness?
Yeah.
That's something that at that point, at some stage, it can be determined whether they have this condition.
What's the way forward? What are some of the things that you think need to be put in place or need to be done better? Earlier on you mentioned the government is actually doing something. You mentioned the hospital here on Bagadi. You know, what other things have you seen and what more do you think needs to be done?
I think things are moving in the right direction, if you ask me. Because the discussion is in the public domain. That we need to look at the mental health of our armed forces, the police in this particular case. People are talking about it. It has been said by policymakers of different cadres and things like that. There is an ongoing commission that is trying to address these issues, and maybe it's not just trauma. They could be going through other situations like being away from their families and things like. It happens all over the world. Yeah, it happens all over the world, and I've been told by this person, the one I was telling you about. It was like, no, there are certain things today. I'm having a family function. They're not worried about bullets. I'm having a family function, and all of a sudden, an order comes, go to this part of the world, and all of those. I suppose, if it can happen in that big country, it can also happen here. So there are very many things, and I think the way of engaging with the police themselves, and they tell you, this is the experiences that we are going through. I think that's moving in the right direction. So there is public awareness by policymakers. Let us take these to the logical conclusions and have effective mental health services in the police. And the beginning point is awareness.
Awareness,
Let people know what they could happen. Let people understand post-traumatic stress disorders and why the police are exposed and vulnerable more than other people. Let the police themselves know that if I'm feeling this and that and that and that and that, those symptoms, I could be having PTSD, I could be having depression, I could be having anxiety, I could be having that mental health issue. If I seem all of a sudden to be developing high blood pressure or developing diabetes or visiting hospitals more often, it could be a long-term complication. These are things that have been established.
Yeah.
But as much as the police are given that kind of information, the person who is at the forefront in detecting, telling my husband, and you know they can be very mkali. And if the wife cannot communicate this information to the police, because the police officer may not even know that is having this problem.
True.
Is there a way this wife can go and talk to somebody and within the system that I can see A, B, C, D in my husband. I think something is not working well. So you cannot do that without involving the most critical person in the care of that person. And let me tell you, it is not the doctor. It's not a psychologist. The most critical person in the management of that person is the spouse.
Is the spouse.
Or the one who cares. Because they are the ones who will raise the alarm long before we start hearing about shootings. Yes. And I think that's the approach that we should take. The public should know. I think they know. They are sympathetic. There are others who do all kinds of things. There are others who say they deserve it, they ask for it. I mean, you know those people. You cannot spend a lot of energy trying to educate those people. If they're acting out on ignorance, I hope they will know. And all we need to do is give that kind of information.
I'm out of time. Thank you so much for spending some time to listen to this conversation. If you have a friend, if you have a relative, spouse within the police force, send them this conversation, send them this link. It's very, very important. You can find this conversation and the ones we've had in the previous weeks on our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, search for Family Media, look at the playlist section, look for Food for Thought with Professor Ndete. You'll be able to find this episode. Send them to as many people as you can. Let's continue to work together to create awareness, especially where mental health issues within the police force is concerned. Until next time, God bless you.
Food for Thought with Professor David Ndete.